The Oscars were Sunday night, and I watched all 3 hours and 15 minutes of it so that you don't have to. And yes, you owe me one for that. But this year, the liberal propaganda was surprisingly kept to a minimum. Probably because every year they lose millions of viewers. And so they thought maybe we should try to make it less political for a change. Of course, that doesn't mean they didn't virtue signal for diversity, equity, and inclusion.
And while we're on the subject of diversity, I want to say, especially those of you watching at home, there are a number of excellent films and performances that were not nominated tonight, including Till and The Woman King, which are both based on true stories with great performances from Danielle Deadwyler and Viola Davis that are very worthy of your time if you haven't seen them, as is...
Basically, what he's saying there is there were some black films that totally sucked and didn't get nominated for anything, and they didn't want to be called racist, so they thought they would give them a shout-out anyway. Last year, NBC refused to air the Golden Globes, which are basically like the Oscars, except they not only include films, but television shows as well, because the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, they said, didn't have enough black people voting for which films and television shows were the best. And I'm sure the LGBTQAIPK2 plus community is upset because they only got 2 shout-outs throughout the entire show, this being the first.
To try and summarize the experiences of all those who identify as women in one movie would be impossible.
Those who identify as women? I think you mean women.
The 7 short films helmed by 7 female directors that make up Tell It Like a Woman.
Because I'm sure that the life experience of transgender women and women are completely identical. Women, as you know, start off life as girls, and then as they mature, they start to get the attention of boys who become interested and attracted to them. Transgender women, on the other hand, well, better not get into that or I'll get canceled. But the big TikTok star Dylan Mulvaney is complaining that after all of his expensive surgeries to try to look like a woman, nobody is sliding into his DMs. And now the Academy Awards are being pressured to eliminate gender altogether, because obviously there are different awards for the Best Actress and the Best Actor, but that's now seen as sexist and divisive. Now they want one award for the Best Acting Person. That's not a joke. This from the LA Times: the Best Actress Oscar is a sexist Hollywood relic. Time to get rid of gendered awards. Surprisingly, the host, Jimmy Kimmel, did make a joke about Hunter Biden, I think it's the first time a liberal comedian has, well, made me laugh in years and referenced Hunter and his, personal problems.
This is my favorite duo of the year, Steven Spielberg and Seth Rogen. What a pair. The Joe and Hunter Biden of Hollywood.
Seth Rogen, if you don't know, is best known for being a complete druggie and degenerate. Jimmy Kimmel made this interesting joke, which would obviously never be made about another certain group of people, black people.
5 Irish actors are nominated tonight, which means the odds of another fight on stage just went way up.
Oh, so you're referencing the Fighting Irish. So you're feeding into ethnic stereotypes, right, Jimmy? Maybe the Irish do tend to fight more than certain other white ethnic groups, but as everybody knows, there's another ethnic group whose violence and crime can't be talked about, not even citing actual FBI statistics. But if you're on Twitter, there are several accounts which document such activity, including BIPOC doing racism, which means Black, Indigenous, and people of color doing racism, and Anti-Whitewatch, which documents the systemic and growing anti-whiteism that unfortunately we are witnessing in society today. As you know, Hollywood is obsessed with race swapping white characters for black characters in popular film franchises and television series, and so they made this bizarre promotion during the Oscars for the new Little Mermaid, put out by Disney, which now features a black actress as the once redheaded Ariel. They literally just had the actress come out on stage and promote the film. Like, it hasn't been nominated for anything, it hasn't came out yet, but of course, Disney is afraid that if this is a commercial failure, that's going to reflect poorly on Hollywood's race swapping trend. CNN won an Oscar because the fake plastic people in Hollywood recognized the fake news in Washington, D.C. It's a documentary following the Russian dissident Alexei Navalny, who once challenged Vladimir Putin for the presidency of Russia. When presenting the award for Best Editing, Jimmy Kimmel made this dig at Tucker Carlson for, well, revealing the truth about January 6th.
Editors can turn 44,000 hours of violent insurrection footage into a respectful sightseeing tour of the Capitol.
I think what you mean is Tucker Carlson revealed the footage of Jacob Chansley peacefully walking through the halls of the Capitol, being escorted by police on that eventful day. I believe this is the first year that they changed the order of the awards for Best Actor and Best Actress. Usually, the award for Best Actress comes first, and then Best Actor, and then Best Picture, and then the show wraps up. But because of feminism, they decided to swap the two, and the award for Best Actor was given first to Brendan Fraser for his film The Whale, and then the award for Best Actress was given to whoever this woman is. Of course, last year, host Chris Rock got slapped by Will Smith for making fun of his wife, and that was blamed on white people by the liberal media industrial complex.
I'll try to put this in context for, our white fellow countrymen as best I can. And really, truly, Black America, there is a commonality amongst us all. And if
Oh yeah, but we can't get into that, can we?
we went to a white person's home and it was their family dinner and we were sitting there at the table and the mother hauled off and slapped the father. And everybody at that table has an opinion. You know, the sister's like, Mom, you always do this. And the brother's like, I can't believe you guys are doing this. And Dad is like, you're terrible. If I weigh in as the guest in this home and I say, yeah, you guys are terrible, everybody's like, I'm sorry, when did you get an opinion? This is our family table. That's what this moment felt like for many of us. And there's a nuance to what happened.
So what she's saying is white people aren't allowed to have an opinion about, well, black people committing violent crimes. Here's PBS echoing the same sentiment.
A lot of people who watched Will Smith's onstage slap of comedian Chris Rock are saying the moment carried more meaning and charge than just a man losing his cool with another man who insulted his wife. Joining me to discuss the deeper cultural context are author and film critic Issa Nefertari Yulin, who is also a professor, and
The deeper cultural context, meaning that black men commit 10 times the violent crime of white people? Is that what you're going to get into? Of course not. That was a joke.
I think that anytime we witness violence, we need to understand that from a place where we recognize the emotional and psychological state that's driving this physical response
You mean anti-whiteism and white envy?
to a trigger. And Will Smith was definitely triggered that night. But I think in the broader context of American society, we need to understand what was happening there is really rooted and steeped in a 400-year commitment to Black erasure, Black marginalization, Black silencing, and the stereotyping of Black people.
So, actually, Will Smith was perpetuating the supposed stereotypes about a certain group of people. Imagine saying with a straight face that what Will Smith did last year at the Oscars to Chris Rock was white people's fault. Surprisingly, there weren't any drag queens paraded out on stage to be celebrated this year, at least that I saw, although I did nod off at various points throughout the extremely boring ceremony. But we can't get through an entire Hollywood award show without somebody giving a shout out to drag queens.
We want to dedicate this to the mommies, all the mommies of the world, to our moms. Specifically my mom and dad, Ken and Becky. Thank you for not squashing my creativity when I was making really disturbing horror films or really perverted comedy films or dressing in drag as a kid, which is a threat to nobody.
Which is also perverted and horrifying. Listen to the crowd cheer.
thank you to
Yeah,
everybody who
he's
worked
a
on our
drag
movie.
queen. Then at the end, the winner for Best Picture appeared to make an interesting Freudian slip.
But this is for my dad. Because we made this movie with what he taught me to do, which is no person is more important than profits.
No person is more important than profits. So you mean profits are before people? Profits are more important than people? Well, that is the Hollywood way.
And these weirdos right here supported me in doing that.
Well, I'll agree with you there. They definitely are weirdos. People who aren't weirdos are the supposed conspiracy theorists who turn out to be right about 99% of the time. So you may enjoy my new Conspiracy Theorists Were Right shirt. Order yours from markdice.com or click the link in the description below. Like all of my designs, it's available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.